Hi guys, so today I'm going to talk about something that's not actually in China for a couple of reasons that I think it's relevant to the world and to China as well, for some reasons that I'll come to. But I'm sure you've all heard of the recent attacks in Paris. For those that don't know anything about it, I'll just quickly talk about the fact that there's a group called ISIS that have attacked in Paris. Islamic State they're called, and they've killed a lot of people. A very serious attack of 129 deaths, and they struck into the sort of heart of French culture, cafes and sport and things like that, to try and disrupt French culture. So around the world, people have, for whatever reason, felt some relation to that. I'm sure you've seen all around the world on social media and even with buildings lit up all around the world, the kind of support that Paris has been given through hashtags and Twitter and things like that. Different places around the world singing the Marseillaise. So there's been a worldwide reaction to it, including the Oriental Pearl Tower in Shanghai being lit up as well. So there's a bit of a debate or a discussion going on as to what the reaction should be to these attacks. A lot of government officials and leaders are giving a more hardline approach, especially Hollande, the French president, who is actually a left-wing president, but he's getting more and more right because of these attacks and literally saying "on va les détruire," which means we're going to destroy them. And David Cameron as well is really bringing a more hard line to this, as well as Putin and all kinds of leaders. And then there's a sort of a softer level to it as well, which is just simply that, for example, in the media I'm hearing things like, I'm not even going to give them the satisfaction of hating them. All I'm going to do is not let them change that, and I'm going to carry on with my life. I'm going to carry on with my culture, with my French culture of doing stereotypical French things of buying baguettes and sitting in cafes and going to sport matches or whatever it is that French people feel that they should carry on doing. And Charlie Hebdo again has been important in this because it's carried on as it has always done, saying slightly risque things. The last cover that it published for this news story was a French man with holes in his body, drinking champagne and literally saying, translating into English from the French, basically they have weapons, but screw them, we have champagne. So that's the whole incident at first glance, really. But then recently there have been all kinds of backlash coming through social media and eventually through normal media as well, talking about the fact that actually there are all kinds of other terrorist attacks going on in the world that haven't had the same attention as Paris, namely Lebanon and Nigeria, and Syria, just to name a few. More specifically to China, you've got after the Oriental Pearl in Shanghai was lit up, a lot of Chinese people concerned about the fact that the Shangjin 2009 terrorism was never recognized as a terrorist act by France, and so they're considering that why should we recognize this as an act of terrorism, and that's sort of in keeping with a lot of some of the talk around in the Western world as well. The Uyghur militants in the northwest, and that's in keeping with what Western people as well are saying about the other tragedies around the world. And I think we're starting to build more awareness now because of that, which is a positive, about the other terrorist attacks in the world. I mean, China itself has obviously terrorist problems of its own that France didn't recognise, and that's what some Chinese people are saying, like the Urumqi attacks in 2009 in northwest China, with the stabbings with hypodermic needles, and I mean I think the US, the UN, EU, and Kazakhstan and a fair few other countries recognised that, but France never did. So this is among a few things that people are seeing as double standards between Paris and the rest of the world. Despite it being a huge tragedy, there are other terrorist attacks that people don't seem to be spending the same amount of time on, and people are wondering why that is, I think in China and the rest of the world. The other angle as well on the Paris attacks is wondering, well, how did it start? And people are saying it was France, amongst other countries, that went and attacked Syria. So where does this responsibility lie in there? And I think it's an interesting question to ask as well in the context of China with terrorism. I mean, these people are looking for freedom, for liberation from China as well. Is that should it be part of China? I'm sure the Chinese government would say yes. So for me anyway, the positive conclusion out of this is that in a globalized world that we have now, I think we've got to be more and more aware of what's going on in the rest of the world and how every action that we do in real life or in the media affects everywhere around the world, now and in the future.